evaluators. So I will be calling our general evaluator of the day who will help me out here. None other than our president, EM1, Patricia Maliksi.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm back. I'm your general evaluator for today. So for today's meeting, for the benefit of our guests, my role is divided into 3 parts. One is to introduce the evaluators for the prepared speeches. 2 is to call upon what we call the tag team, the timer, act counter, and grammarian for their respective reports. And finally, I shall give my general evaluation for the overall meeting. So before I call on the first evaluator, may I please call on the timer to give us the timing guidelines for the evaluation section? I think it's noted in the program. And so let's commence with our evaluations. Our first evaluator is for our table topics. Let's call on our table topics evaluator, none other than our DTM and our very hardworking DTM Jude.
Hello. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. So welcome to the evaluation portion of our table topic session, our very exciting table topic session. So let's jump right in and kick off with our speakers. The first one being none other than our president and our GE this afternoon, President Pat. So the question was, how do you effectively motivate yourself? So I liked how you handled the topic. It was very refreshing to hear about that purpose style. So I think you used the prep style, position, reason, example, and I liked how you circled back to your position wherein you rediscussed your purpose. Moving forward to our area director, Tina, our next volunteer, how can we show warmth? It's also a very nice topic, and I noticed that you attack it also using the prep pattern. And I liked how you circled back. You know, for the benefit of everyone, the challenge usually with using the prep pattern is that most speakers fail to circle back to the original P or the point. Now, I liked how you circled back with it, wherein you said that initially when you mentioned that your point there is offer something close to you, which is a part of you, and then you circle it back when you ended when you say that always give a part of me to every people I encounter. Now for our guest Denise, so it's nice that she deviated from the usual the prep pattern wherein she used the SMG or the story message game. So thank you for sharing that story about your college days, your being outspoken and joining in clubs as well, wherein you expose yourself. And the gain here is that wherein it not only benefits yourself, but you benefit others. So somehow, by that actions, you are able to inspire others to do the same. Now, for the benefit of all our speakers, so here are some of my suggestions whenever you will be answering table topic sessions in the future. So you may want to move a little bit away from the camera so that you can do some gestures like what AD Cristina did when she answered her table topic session. Now, you also may want to take a look at the placement of your camera so that you will not be looking down, or that you may also be looking directly at your camera, because that gives us an impression of an eye-to-eye contact with our audience. Now, of course, it's always important to maintain that eye-to-eye contact, because even in our regular conversations, it's nice when the people that we are talking to, and whenever they talk back to us, is that they are looking at us. Okay, and okay, so I think that's it for our speakers. Now let's move on to our table topics master, Toastmaster Russell. Now, the only regret that I have this afternoon is because I am the evaluator and I have other roles, I cannot volunteer to join in that very exciting topic. So you were spot on as always whenever you handle table topics with the important explanation of the background of the session. How I liked how you related the theme to your questions. And I don't know whom of you here are in my generation, but when I was a lot younger in our library, I like to borrow the books, Choose Your Own Adventure. Whenever you open that book, then after reading a part, you are offered a choice, and then that will determine the next pages that you will turn for that book. So I really appreciated how the session this afternoon reminded me of that choose your own story style. It's nice that also there is the time, the formats. That's very important so that our speakers as well as our guests will be able to really understand and get on board our session this afternoon. Also, okay, so and as the host, TM Russell transitioned very well into each speaker. So I hope that we can emulate Toastmaster Russell whenever we are signed as the table topics master whenever we have the chance in the near future. And may I just highlight the fact that all our speakers are volunteers, so thank you for volunteering, brave souls. But I would also like to give that credit to our table topics master because your session was really that exciting, that has really encouraged our members, our participants to really volunteer. So thank you, Toastmaster Russell. Thank you to our speakers, Press Pan, AD Tina, and to our guest, Denise. So please, let's give them another round of applause. Woohoo! Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, DTM Jude. I love how in the evaluation portion, this is where we give our points for improvement, our suggestions, what you did good, what you can improve on. And what I love about Toastmasters is we have a very encouraging community here, and it really shows on how you delivered your evaluation, DTM Jude. And as a general evaluator, I'll be evaluating the evaluator because we're all here to evaluate each other. So DTM Jude, I love that you did your collective evaluation for the table topics because I noticed that sometimes it will become a bit dragging when we specify each, especially with a lot of speakers. But I love how you did the collective evaluation for each. You really took note of what they what were what your commendation and recommendation is. I love how concise you are in delivering your evaluations. It's nice to hear and it's very easy to absorb. To add on to your evaluation for our speakers, I'd like to add some notes. For for CC Cristina, I love that she's being more brave and she's volunteering, and I can see how you've been improving. Also to our guest Denise, I'm really proud of you of how you were so brave in delivering your speech. And I remember my first time in delivering my Toastmaster speech, and you are better than me, let me just say. So it will take time, and we hope that you can join us again. And you really did a great job in your first speech. And for our table topics master, I would like to thank you, Russell, for always giving your best when you are tasked to do the table topics. You have a well-organized, creative, the explanation, the engagement, and how you're addressing the guests to make them feel welcome. And that's why sometimes that's the hard part of like having volunteers, but because of how creative and how engaging your table topics was, it was really good. So thank you, and I look forward to more table topics. Now we move on to our next evaluator for our prepared speeches. So for our prepared speech for the Presentation Mastery Level 1 Project 2, Evaluation and Feedback, let me call on our evaluator, IPP Cristina Yung. Let's all give her a round of applause.
Toastmaster Lilia, congratulations for this speech, your second speech, evaluation and feedback. What can I say? What I love was with your speech, did you notice when TM Lilia is delivering her speech, it's very touching. She delivers a speech wherein it's her personal experience all the time. She's very good with writing and constructing her speech. That's what that's the greatest asset TM Lilia have, writing stories and constructing her speech. What would I recommend on would be, as DTM Jude had also mentioned, that we don't forget to have our eyes looking at the camera because it creates eye contact. I have already mentioned from my previous evaluation to you, TM Lilia, that we have notes. You have the tendency to look down. I don't know if you're looking at the notes or not. It's just the way you deliver your speech. So let us all practice that whenever we want to speak, we face at the camera, so to give to have an eye contact with all the members. And also, what I love with the speech, did you notice that she had humor? She injected few humors, yung churva. No? So, very natural. It's just like she's not intending, but it will just make you suddenly smile. That's what the purpose of this project also need to do, that incorporating a little humor, which you have done very well. I also love your introduction. You catch us with your introduction by saying, have you watched Hunger Games? What I could recommend on that would be, you try to make a pause after saying, have you all watched Hunger Games? And let us all reflect that, yeah, we somehow will imagine Hunger Games. So that's what I love. I also love the way you end your speech by saying, simple living is the key. Overall, I want to congratulate Toastmaster Lilia for delivering a great speech, great personal story that from your title itself, hunger is an option. It's really already very eye-catching. And the way you make the story make us feel that in spite of whatever happening here, the pandemic and everything, you lift us up. Congratulations, Toastmaster Lydia. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, IPP Cristina. To evaluate IPP Cristina, I love how you've improved in the last, I don't know, when you're volunteering more, it really shows. The more you speak, the more comfortable you're getting. And I love how detailed your evaluation was. You took note of what you loved about this speech, and it's not. That's what I love. The interesting evaluation for me, I like to think, is when the evaluator really listened to my speech and really took note of how I can improve as a speaker, and you effectively did that today. So congratulations, IPP Cristina, for delivering such a wonderful evaluation. An improvement for your next evaluation, I'd like to suggest is your tone. I think there are times when you're thinking off your feet, so it's better to speak more so that you'll be able to express yourself more naturally. Other than that, you did wonderful. So let's all clap our hands for IPP Christina. She's the past president for the guests. So she had no time to deliver speeches last year, but now she's slowly getting back to it. So congratulations. And now, as an additional evaluation, for those asking, yes, we are related. She's my mother. So we're three family members in this Toastmasters club. My sister, my mom, and me. So TM Lilia, I'd like to agree with IPP Christina that your speech, you're so passionate and it's so heartfelt. I don't know where I got that. Maybe from you. So congratulations on delivering your speech. I'm so proud of you. So now let's move on to our next evaluator for the second speech. The speech of Pam Pataksil, which is Presentation Mastery Level 2, Project 2, Effective Body Language. It will be evaluated by none other than our DTM Jude. DTM Jude.
Hello, thank you very much. Hi everyone, I'm back. Is is TM Pam still here, or has she been consumed by her meeting? It's nice that you're still here. Hello, TM Pam. Thank you very much for that wonderful speech, and congratulations on delivering such an excellent speech project. The purpose of this project is gestures, and I believe that you were able to really hit all of those parts of your speeches that needed gestures. But may I just really focus on the not so grand gestures, but on the simple ones, like when you touch your chest like this to express some emotions, when you shrug your shoulders. Those are, I believe those for me are important gestures, because for most people, they think that gestures would really just throwing your hands up in the air. But those small gestures really add the emotion that is necessary for you to stress your points of your stories that are being related in your respective speech. I like also how you were indexing your points. You were indexing your points, and that's very important so that the audience can keep track of the important sections of your speech that you are trying to relate to us. And also, I like how I like the importance of that speech, creativity, because that's so important in our lives today, especially probably in your line of work, which I believe the part when you mentioned that you had to take a look at some news so that you can suggest to your boss. So I would assume that your work is related to economics, which is uh, for most people, it's quite a challenging subject. For even for corporate people, it's sort of a numbers-oriented games, a numbers-oriented discussion, and injecting creativity really perks up their interest. Now, how may I help you in your next speech? You may want to take note of your camera placement so that you will not be looking down on your camera, and also your proximity so that some of your grand gestures can be more visible. Like there are certain gestures that can be cut off because if we are too close to the camera. For example, in my current distance to the camera, you could see that it seems that my hands are just floating in the air. So if I move back a little, you can see from my elbow to the tip of my fingers so that I can make grander gestures. But it's very important that since you are quite close to your camera, your gesture when you touch your chest and when you shrug your shoulders, it is very evident even if you are quite close to your camera. And another thing is, may I also suggest that you also use your, I believe that your dominant hand for coloring and painting is your right hand. And you may also like to use your left hand more so that it can be exercised as well. Overall, thank you for that great speech. Congratulations on hitting the objective of your speech, which is to communicate using gestures. And thank you for breathing life into an otherwise technical topic on economics. I'm sure you are doing it in your work. And I hope to hear your next speech soon. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, DTM Jude. As always, a very detailed evaluation. I'd like to add on to that, maybe in the future, the content is spot on. I don't have any comments on that. I especially love your view on inner self and inner creativity. And as a creative myself who works in the creative industry, it's nice to see someone who's in a very corporate job, that everything that you do, it doesn't have to be like a design or whatnot. It's the ability to create, and that's where creativity comes in. And I love your point of view on that, Pam. And I think another improvement for your next speech, maybe try to memorize the outline of your speech to avoid hastening the ending. I noticed that you panicked at the end because of the timer and you had to like speed up your delivery so it's better to slow down, feel your words so that the audience will still feel connected with you. And that's my only suggestion. Take your time. Slowing down, I know you're a very, very busy woman, but slowing down is also part of the process. Okay? So let's move on to our next evaluator. So for Innovative Planning Level 2 Project 3, Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring, the Empowering Care of Mentor. Evaluator, DTM Les Aquino. DTM Les, are you here?
Yes, I'm here, and thank you, Madam G. For Toastmaster Lois, your speech is on Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring, and one of the objectives is to discuss an aspect of a protege's experience, and the protege here is being you, as well as discuss the Toastmasters concept of mentoring. Now, what I like Toastmaster Lois and where you excelled in is delivering an interesting speech. An interesting speech because you discussed your journey as a budding teacher in meeting your mentor teacher Jan. I also particularly like the good use of visuals, and you had several of these visuals, and one of them had a quote from Tony Dungy, and it's nice that you cited him as your reference in that particular quote, where you mentioned how important it is to have a one-on-one kind of mentoring. You spoke of your journey as a student and how in 2017 you enrolled in a U course. Now, something to work about, Toastmaster Lois, is for this speech project, I wanted to see more gestures to make it more animated and eye contact. Now, as far as gestures is concerned, this has been mentioned several times on how you can do it. I think you are far enough from your camera to show your own gestures, purposeful gestures. And as far as eye contact is concerned, I know it takes a little time getting familiar and getting used to speaking to an inanimate object such as a camera, but it can be done by practice. As far as, well, moving forward is concerned to level it up, so to speak, you mentioned a sentence where you said one of the things that you gained here is to gain clarity and you learned a lot. And I thought that was a blanket statement, and I wanted to know how. Like what else did you learn? Be more specific. how did it made clear? How did it made matters more clear to you or clearer to you as a protege? As you know, the protege here is you, and the experience, your experience here, is one of the objectives of the speech project. So moving forward, I really wanted to know more about the protege, and there's a lot to be talked about. When you mentioned about Teacher Jan, I learned a lot about Teacher Jan. In fact, with Teacher Jan, I learned how she looks like because of your visuals, and how you mentioned her as a teacher who stood out from your other teachers. For future speeches like this, I maybe focus more about yourself also. And there's a lot to be talked about. There's talk about your trials as a protege, like what the struggles that you had as a protege. What else did you accomplish as a protege when you finish your mentoring session, for instance, with Teacher Jan? So focus on the objectives more. There's, for the current speech, there's a fine balance, and maybe to make it even better, shift the balance more towards the protege side. Overall, wonderful, wonderful speech, and I look forward to your next speech, Toastmaster Lois. Back to you, Madam Evaluator, General Evaluator.
Pat, you're on mute.
Are you on mute, I think?
Sorry. Welcome to the Zoom life, guys. So I think I don't have anything more to add. I think DTMS has said the evaluations well. And so for DTMless, I think it's also a good, I love how your Zoom is always on point. Your lighting, your background, seeing you from the very first Zoom meeting that we did, that you had an electric fun ongoing, and seeing you now. So I'm so happy. I'm so happy that everyone's really, really putting in the effort to make all our Zoom meetings as fun as possible. So for our next evaluator, we have a guest today. So for Strategic Relationships Level 4 elective, by DTM Ed, why are online meetings put us at risk? Our evaluator from J&J, please welcome Jeff Lobo. Welcome to BF Community. Let's give him a warm round of applause for guesting. Yay!
Thank you so much, General
I give
Evaluator.
the screen to you. Okay, there you go.
Thank you so much, my friend Pat. And hello, BF Community Toastmasters Club. It was truly an honor, and I feel much excited about joining your Toastmasters session for today. I learned a lot, actually. To our prepared speaker for today, so hard. It made me feel deluged, I would say, and overwhelmed, feeling that I will be evaluating a very passionate, inspiring speaker as Division Director Ed. Sir Ed, I was even surprised that he's now on his level 4 speech project, yet I'm still finishing my level 1 speech project. Before giving my feedback, I reminded myself, why am I doing this? I look back a bit and remember that the purpose of giving feedback is to improve the situation or the person's performance. And one great thing about Toastmasters is that we have a very positive environment, and that we treat each other, not just a colleague, but also our family member. What I learned from your speech, Sir Ed, is the importance of sharing information in Toastmasters. As we kept our relationship very close, we tend to forget that there are circumstances that we might forgot to inform our colleagues or fellow Toastmasters before publishing our meeting recordings or pictures, right? In my company, actually, data privacy is a very critical information that we should keep confidential. And to connect this with what Toastmaster Lois asked earlier of what law should be followed, in our company, actually, we're following the US law, since our company is registered in US when it comes to data privacy topics. Your speech, Sir Ed, refreshed myself as well to be careful in posting data or pictures or when not informing our fellow Toastmasters during the meeting. This happens as well even in our normal life, right? I remember also this question was asked with our Miss Universe 2015 P Awards back about posting in social media, that we need to be careful before posting anything in social media. And that helped us reminded to be responsible as well in every post, putting our emotions on social media. I also appreciate Sir Ed, our fellow Toastmasters, for raising their questions earlier, as it added flavor and interest to the topic that you have discussed, right? And kudos to our fellow Toastmasters. You have a perfect gestures, diction, and even a small sound when you excavate the word. It's always a very lively and interactive session with you, Sir Ed. And I look forward to seeing you more sharing your speech. Thank you, sir. Nonetheless, I am pretty much sure that there are still questions circulating to the minds of our fellow Toastmasters, members, and guests, and that somehow reminds them about the proper use of data privacy. Back to our Madam President, General Evaluator Pat.
Thank you, Jeff. We appreciate you coming here and VF Community Toastmasters, and thank you for sharing your time. So to evaluate, I'll first give my evaluation to DTM Ed, and then I'll give my evaluation to our guest evaluator, Jeff. DTM Ed, I love how engaging, and that's the thing about relevant topics. That's very timely. It's very interesting. Did you notice that it was a 15 to 20-minute speech, but then you didn't feel it? That it was like we still want more, because how DTM Ed framed everything, how he delivered it, it was very informative. The Q&A session was very engaging. So kudos to you, DTM Ed, and I love how that informative speech of yours made us think, and it will make us take action to be more protected in this new normal, especially with online meetings. So great job. As for our evaluator, our guest evaluator, Jeff, a few notes. First, I love how you present yourself with a smile like me. I love how engaging you are with your delivery, and how you gave your insight, personal insight from your industry of how we can improve the speech, or to have the conversation flowing in our minds. So thank you for that, Jeff. And I love also your grammar and diction on point. As a note to as an evaluator for future reference, can you tell that this is my first general evaluator? This is my first time as a general evaluator? No, because I was confident. And I want you that even if you're evaluating a DTM, you should always exude confidence. You should be confident that us assigning you that role, we trust your skills, and you should trust yourself. So don't say sorry, like what our mentors here encourage me. Don't say sorry for being there, because we want you there. So Jeff, be more confident, like Pia works back. Confident, beautiful with the heart. Learn. So please, on your next speech, don't say sorry. Own the screen, because you have the right to be there. And I'm sure you'll be a great evaluator. So that's my comment for you. Who's our next evaluator? Oh, that ends our evaluations for the prepared speeches.